Use the information below to answer question 53 and 54. Everton and Chelsea played 20 matches each, and their average goals scored are 8.5 and 10.5 respectively. Question 53. What is the total goals scored by both clubs? From the question, you can gather out some information. Then you have Everton and Chelsea played 20 matches each, and their average goals scored are 8.5 and 10.5 respectively. So let's start with Everton. You have Everton, the average goals scored or the mean is 8.5. Then for Chelsea, the average goals scored or the mean is 10.5. You know the standard formula for finding the mean. The mean is equals to the sum of all the goals scored per match, that's sum of all goals, over the number of matches. To solve this question, we have to find the total number of goals scored by Everton and that's scored by Chelsea and add them together using their means. Let's start with Everton. We have the average number of goals, that's the mean, as 8.5 equals, now some of the goals we don't know, and the number of matches you have 20. When you're finding the mean or the average of the total number of goals scored by a team in this case, you have to consider all the matches they played. Let's say they played 20 matches, and in the first match they scored 5 goals, second match they scored 2, third match they scored 3. You have to write them all out, then add them together and divide it by total number of matches they played, which is 20. Now you have the answer already, which is the mean, and the number of matches they played. So we have to find the total number of goals they scored, that's the sum of it, which is represented by this x. We can choose to multiply both sides by 20, or you cross multiply. You can make this over 1, then we cross multiply. X times 1 on one side of the equals to sign equals, on the other side you have 8.5 times 20, as 8.5 times 20. S times 1 is x equals 8.5 times 20 is 170. So we have the total number of goals scored by Everton in 20 matches as 170 goals. Now let's do for Chelsea. So the same mean formula. We have formula for our mean as mean equals sum of all goals scored by Chelsea in 20 matches over the number of matches, which is 20. We've been given the average goals, which is the mean, as 10.5 equals the sum of all the goals scored by Chelsea, let's make it y, over the total number of matches, which is 20. Now we're looking for the sum of all the goals scored by Chelsea in 20 matches. So we have it as this over 1. Then we can choose to multiply both sides by 20 to get this 20 of this y, or we just cross multiply. We have y times 1 on one side equals, on the other side you have 10.5 times 20. 10.5 times 20. Y times 1 is y. Then 10.5 times 20 is 210. That's 210. So the total number of goals scored by Chelsea, or the sum of all the goals scored by Chelsea in 20 matches, is 210 goals. We now know Everton scored 170 goals and Chelsea scored 210 goals. Now the question says, what is the total goals scored by both clubs? So we have to add the total number of goals scored by Everton plus those goals scored by Chelsea. We have total number of goals of both clubs as 170 plus 210. 170 plus 210 equals 380. So both teams scored 380 goals. From our options, our answer is E, 380 goals.